Yoshi P is world renowned for giving a whole lot of care to his project, Final Fantasy XIV, and whether you like the game or not, a quick glance at the project and the MMORPG, and you absolutely have to agree that what he accomplished and continues to accomplish is nothing short of revolutionary and amazing. Final Fantasy XIV is an MMO built much like World of Warcraft in the way that it works and the systems within it, except done better, where each expansion has actually made the game better, for example, and the story has continued to captivate millions of players, including me. The newest expansion, Endwalker, was due for release on November 25th and 21st for early access, so a couple of weeks away. But last night, Yoshi P connected with his fans live to make a heartbreaking announcement that to ensure the newest expansion for Final Fantasy XIV, which by the way, wraps up the entire story he has told so far, more on that in a minute, in order to make sure it meets the high expectations, including his own, they must make the hard decision to delay it. And then I saw something I don't think I have ever seen before in game development. Tears began to stream down his face as he apologized, knowing people had asked for the dates off of work, made plans, and were highly anticipating it. He explained how hard he and the team had tried to meet the deadline, but with issues that simply need more time to address and needing to meet a certain level of perfection, he was left with no choice. He also apologized for being emotional as he was obviously trying to stay professional. This wasn't some show. This was a real outburst of love and care for his game. But this points out just how much this means to him. It's his life's work, and this particular expansion is wrapping up a story that many would say, including me, is the greatest story told in an RPG to date. Which, by the way, it's not like Final Fantasy XIV is going to end. There'll be a brand new saga and or story. It'll be very interesting to see how they do that. I have a couple theories on that, but that's not what this video is all about. This is what caring developers look like, my friends. Let's talk the details after a word from our sponsors. Before we begin, I want to give a major shout out to the members of Napalm. I could not do this without you. You are the sponsors of this channel, and I thank you for your contribution, allowing me to keep making videos on MMOs, RPGs, and of course, puppets. If you are interested in becoming a member of Napalm, please click the join button down below. It is greatly appreciated. And a very special shout out to the Lords of Napalm, Bounty Code, We Tote Bitcoins, Jared Woodhouse, and Daimlos. Thank you for your highest tier membership. So Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker expansion has been delayed to December 3rd for early access, which you can get by pre-ordering the game now, and December 7th full launch, so it was only delayed a couple of weeks, and it sounds like this was absolutely mandatory for the expansion to release in the quality they wanted and needed it to be in. With so many developers pushing products out that weren't ready, I think this is absolutely fine, and considering the crunch I'm sure they've been under, I don't see this as a negative. After all, this is the wrap-up for hundreds of hours of story that have been culminating over the course of years, and I personally can't wait to find out what happens. And I'm even more excited to see how this team decides to start the story anew. After all, this is the same people that took a broken MMO that was 1.0 Final Fantasy XIV, even though I kind of like that game to be honest, and within a year turned it completely into the most successful MMORPG on the market today, even surpassing World of Warcraft and dethroning it as the most popular MMO available. So when I say they might do something revolutionary again, I truly actually think they will. Work to Game, a YouTuber, had a very interesting theory that they might discover new lands or a new world, and it turned out to be Vana'diel, which is the world of Final Fantasy XI, which, as you know, if you watch this channel, I'm a gargantuan fan of, and even find a way to combine those two games or worlds into one fantastic title called Final Fantasy Online. That would shatter the world in my opinion, and it is probably too lofty and risky of a goal since the two MMOs are so inherently different, but a man can dream. The love and care of the development team shines bright in Final Fantasy XIV, and Square is blessed to have a guy like Yoshi P in charge leading the helm. He reminds me of the same passion that burns so bright from Joppa of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen's helm that I just can't help but cheer them both on. In any case, the new expansion is looking great, and even if I am more of a fan of the classically spirited MMOs, Final Fantasy XIV actually technically has that kind of gameplay embedded in it as well, because Yoshi P is actually a huge fan of classically spirited MMOs. And if you want to play that in Final Fantasy 14 is actually called Eureka. And anyway, besides that, just the sheer amount of content, a lot of it's separate from the actual MMORPG experience, like gambling at the Gold Saucer with your in-game gil, the PvP, which is separate from the PvE completely, you got chocobo racing, I mean, the list just goes on and on. I am currently catching up. I just beat the Shadowbringers expansion and am working my way through the patch content leading up to Endwalker, so of course it is easier for me to be okay with the delay as it just gives me more time to catch up. But how do you feel about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Are you even playing Final Fantasy 14? Have you thought about it for years? Did you try it and you just didn't like it? Did you give it a fair shake also? I mean, you really got to. I mean, this many millions of people flooding into this game didn't happen by accident. This is a good MMO. And if you haven't played Final Fantasy 14 before, big news, you can get the collection with everything except for the new expansion for 50% off. And we're talking thousands of hours of content here. So right now, US dollars is costing right about $24. I'll have a link in the description down below if you're interested. It is one heck of a deal. And for those that want to skip the original storyline of A Realm Reborn, which is quite a grind, I will admit, that is also on sale for only $5.50 US as well at the time of this recording. Now, if you do decide to do that, because that A Realm Reborn, it doesn't skip your level. It just skips that you can just level up however you want, and you don't have to do that story grind, because in Final Fantasy 14, A Realm Reborn, you have to do the story to unlock things that you need in the game. Dungeons, mount, your first mount at least, the ability to pick another class while you're playing this one, because this is one of those games where you got one character, they can be multiple classes. Of course, they don't mix and match them. It's just you can change that character and be a different class. But I digress. I want to also mention that the show that I do for Tuesday nights, MMO Classes 101, will be playing Final Fantasy 14 very soon. So look forward for more content. And since I'll be playing the newest expansion, look forward to that too. And for Pantheon fans, while you wait, and if you are tired or was never interested in the action combat of New World, Final Fantasy 14 is a really great MMO. Yes, it is World of Warcraft style gameplay, but it's done so much better in my opinion. I've said on the channel many times that for that type of MMO, this is the best one. And I stand by it, and it looks like over the course of this year, millions are beginning to agree with me. I am playing with some other Pantheon fans currently on the Aether cluster on Gilgamesh if you'd like to hop in. There is buku of group gameplay available and enough content to keep you busy until Pantheon's launch, for sure. Anyway, if you are new here, please subscribe, hit that like button to help with the YouTube algorithm, and until next time, my friends, God bless and happy gaming.